this story about the interpreter saying, "We will bury you." Sometimes you face the reality that you cannot always interpret things the way they were meant. And listening to the speaker, you can think a little bit ahead and you can guess. You are basically not allowed to forget simple words.
Yeah, and since we are talking about such challenges, let's imagine that suddenly you don't know a word or a phrase during live interpreting. What do you do in this case?
That's a frequent question I'm getting from people. I recently was speaking to students, to interpreting, students of the foreign language faculty at my university, and they also asked me the same question. Well, it really depends which word it is, because you really have to be prepared when you go out to interpret. You really have to know the languages. You have to have decent vocabulary in your working languages. So you are basically not allowed to forget simple words or general vocabulary. This is a no-go. If you do, this means that you're tired, or you have to go on holiday or something. Or maybe you are not, in terms of health, you're not doing very well and you have to see your physician. But if we were to speak of certain terminology related to the topic of the conference, then it is also your responsibility to be ready to handle that terminology. So you have to put up a glossary. You have to know the basic vocabulary in this particular topic, and the topic shall be also familiar to you, more or less. But again, expected things can happen, and the speaker can mention something. Like one of the speakers I had to interpret recently, this was a psychological meeting, gathering, and absolutely different topic, but she was speaking of some Indian guru and mentioning some Indian gods, and I don't know, absolutely different thing. And I had to do my best. Sometimes they say interpreting is the best human effort. So I'm reminding myself of this sometimes when I'm trying my best to find the equivalent. If you're in the booth and you have your colleague by your side, you can always use your typing skills and look for the word you're missing on vocabulary, or you can rely on your colleague who can write it down promptly on a sheet of paper. But you not always have the luxury. Interpreting consecutively means that it's only you and you have to do it on your own. Yeah.
There is a famous Cold War story where Khrushchev said to the Americans, "We'll show you Kuzka's mother," and the interpreter translated it literally as the mother of Kuzka, right? When it actually meant, "We'll teach you a harsh lesson," or something like that. So have you ever had a moment like that where something just didn't translate? Not because you don't know a word, it's not translatable.
I know a different story about Khrushchev and his interpreters, because there is this story about the interpreter saying, "We will bury you," allegedly the words of Khrushchev, while he meant that communism is going to outlive capitalism or something. "We will watch you die because we will live longer." Something like this was what he really meant, but what the delegates heard was, "We will bury you." In times of Cold War, this was a harsh message indeed. And there's another story of Gorbachev when he visited Germany in times of German Democratic Republic, and he was speaking about perestroika and this new winds of change in the Soviet Union. And what he was allegedly saying was, the one who is late is going to be punished by the life, or something like that. And this was really harsh. So people were so afraid of the Soviet Union, so they were prepared to the worst case scenarios after this. But he was not meaning that, Gorbachev. Yeah, sometimes you face the reality that you cannot always interpret things the way they were meant. As for me, sometimes I struggle with those memes, because Ukrainian reality, Ukrainian language is full of memes. Once upon a time, I had to struggle with zrada перемога, so with betrayal and victory and so on. So those are so concise words with such a big meaning behind, and without pre-context, without knowing the Ukrainian context, you cannot actually get a feeling of what they actually mean. Sometimes I think that the Ukrainian word zrada shall just be translated like it is. So just travel to different languages, because it's so special. I don't know, you cannot interpret it. You cannot translate it 100% into a different language. It's just zrada, and that's it.
And just a specific question, since you interpret from German, and we know that in German language, you need to listen to the very end of the sentence to know if it's a negative or a positive sentence. Are there any challenges with this type of
This is
sentences?
also a frequently asked question
Yeah.
I am getting, but to tell you the truth, I never in my life have been having any difficulties with this word order, so with this sentence structure in German. I don't know why, so it made me think, it made me like observe myself interpreting from German. And what I can tell you is that you are using interpreting techniques to avoid or to compensate for the structural differences between German and Ukrainian, let's say, because as an interpreter, you can think forward a little bit. So if you're listening to the speaker, you can like think a little bit ahead and you can guess what they are going to say. Everyone, so all the interpreters have this skill, like trying to guess what he is trying to say or what she's trying to say. This can help, or maybe out of the context you may guess the verb which you're going to hear at the very end. And there is also a good thing which is called décollage. This is actually the gap between the moment the speaker starts talking and the moment the interpreter starts interpreting. So this is called décollage. Normally it is like 4 seconds long, 4 to 5 seconds long, but you can play with it depending on the speaker. So if you are not having a clue what he is saying, so from the first couple of words, you are letting them go, you're letting them speak a little bit longer so that you can get the idea. So we are interpreting ideas, we are not interpreting words. So until you hear the idea, until you have seen the meaning, you cannot actually interpret. And you can play with this décollage to compensate for what you have mentioned, to like actually hear that the end of the sentence and whether it was negative or positive.
Impressive, yeah. Anna, now be honest with me. Are you worried about AI taking over your profession, or do you think that interpreters will always be needed, human interpreters?
This is something I'm thinking about. I've been thinking about lately. So AI now is a hot topic. Everyone is speaking about AI. Yeah, and as for our profession, you have to understand me right. I'm not an expert for technology, so I'm not going to dive deep into technology, and I'm not really aware of what the technology can do. So what's the newest technology? What's the newest standard? But I've been on this market for a while, and I can tell you what the clients are like. So what they are expecting and what they want to get when they are hiring us interpreters. And in my opinion, the clients tend to be very cautious when buying interpreting services. So they want to be absolutely sure that the interpreter is going to do the job. They cannot run the risk that the interpretation is going to, I don't know, be a wreckage or something. It's not the case. So they are relying on tried and true solutions. They are not really risky. They don't have the risk appetite to experiment around with different solutions. I can even tell you that some clients are not ready to even hire a different interpreter. For example, if they have chosen someone who is working for their events, they will stick with that person all the time because they know, okay, the person did the job. We are happy and we are not ready to experiment or hire someone else because we don't know whether that person will do the job. I think till the point in time, at least, let's say differently, as long as the clients think, or as long as it would seem to the clients that human interpreters are better than the technology, the human interpreters will still have the job, I suppose. Do you see my meaning? I don't know, this may sound a little bit complicated, but this is one side to the problem that I really I cannot see it in the discussion because everyone is discussing what the technology can do, but technology can do many things. The question is, how do you market that technology, whether the clients are ready to pay for that? And now the technology is in place, but people still have to babysit this technology, and it is also doesn't come for free. You also have to be aware. And if you compare the costs, even the best interpreters with the highest rates, they would cost you less than AI doing the job that you have to prove after it check whether there were some mistakes made.
Yeah. Wow. I'm sure that interpreting profession will remain human, and it's obvious that human interpreters bring in a lot of, benefits to the multilingual events, and event organizers, they do understand the importance of having really professional interpreters in the booths at their events. So yeah, thank you so much, Anna, for sharing your insights. It's been absolutely brilliant. Thank you for this. And for those of you watching or listening, if you are planning a multilingual conference or event and need interpreters who can handle unexpected turns, let's say like Kuska's mother or will bury you, you know where to find us, at Translators Family, of course. So subscribe and stay tuned. This is just the first of many interviews with interpreting experts and other experts behind the scenes of multilingual events. You will have more insights, more intriguing stories, and more practical advice coming soon. So thank you.
Thanks a lot. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Anna.